99% of men overlook this one thing, and yet it's the very trait that women find most magnetic. It's not money, it's not flashy clothes, it's not trying to be the most charming or clever person in the room. And no, it's not about playing hard to get or memorizing pickup lines. What truly sets a man apart, what women genuinely respond to, is something deeper. It's presence, it's calm, it's emotional discipline, it's confidence that doesn't need to shout. It's a rare kind of quiet power that you carry with you, not to impress others, but because it's who you are. And the truth is, very few men ever develop it. Most men are constantly reacting. They're chasing attention, approval, or external validation. They text back instantly. They second-guess themselves. They try to win people over instead of learning how to be still in who they are. But the man who understands this one principle becomes different. He doesn't chase, he doesn't need to prove. He's selective with his energy, his time, and his words. And that alone makes people, especially women, pay attention. This is the kind of presence that comes from mastering yourself, from choosing to lead your life with purpose rather than emotion, from embracing what the ancient Stoics taught: control what you can, let go of what you can't, and remain grounded through it all. If you're ready to stop blending in with the noise and start standing out with calm confidence, you're in the right place. Welcome to Stoic HQ, where we help you become the kind of man the world rarely sees, but deeply respects. In this video, we'll break down the mindset shift that 99% of men miss and how you can start practicing it today. Let's dive in. Society has been feeding men a myth. From childhood, we're taught that the way to win love is to chase it, chase her attention, chase her validation, chase her affection, like it's a prize you have to work overtime to earn. We grow up watching movies that glorify the man who never gives up, the one who bends over backward, abandons his values, and sacrifices everything just to get the girl. He buys the flowers, makes the grand speech, begs for another chance, and eventually she gives in. It feels romantic on screen, but in real life, it doesn't play out that way. Because in reality, that kind of behavior doesn't look strong. It looks needy. And in today's world, that myth is louder than ever. Social media platforms are filled with content telling men to be louder, flashier, and more reactive. Influencers shout about alpha energy while flexing luxury cars they don't even own. Relationship advice videos push strategies that are all about manipulation, quick tricks, or trying to hack attraction through surface-level performance. But here's the truth most men never hear. The man who needs nothing attracts everything, not because he's playing games, not because he's trying to manipulate anyone, but because he doesn't operate from need, he operates from fullness. A stoic man doesn't chase. He doesn't try to convince anyone of his worth. He simply shows up as he is, calm, grounded, and unshakably confident. His value isn't based on how others see him. It's based on who he knows himself to be. This isn't arrogance. It's not about being cold or distant. It's about being emotionally self-sufficient. It's about not outsourcing your self-esteem to how someone else reacts to you. When you need someone to like you in order to feel okay, you give them power over your peace. And a stoic man never gives that power away. Instead, he listens more than he speaks. He observes more than he reacts. He's thoughtful, present, and composed, even when emotions run high. That calm presence creates safety. That quiet confidence builds trust. And whether people realize it consciously or not, they're drawn to it, especially women. Why? Because while many people can fake charisma or charm, very few can fake genuine emotional control. Women are highly intuitive. They can sense when a man is grounded in himself and when he's just putting on a performance. True presence can't be faked. It's earned through reflection, discipline, and choosing inner strength over outward flash. That's why so many men struggle in relationships. They're trying too hard to be everything instead of just being themselves. They're chasing an outcome rather than living from purpose. They're reacting to temporary feelings instead of standing firm in long-term values, and it's exhausting for them and for the people around them. The Stoic path is different. It doesn't mean you stop caring or close off emotionally. It means you stop attaching your identity to things you can't control, like how someone else sees you or whether they give you validation. You begin to care less about impressing and more about improving. You stop chasing attention and start cultivating presence. And that shift is powerful. It's not about becoming someone else. It's about returning to who you were before the world told you to perform. So when you step into a room, you don't have to raise your voice to be seen. Your presence speaks for you. When you speak, your words carry weight. Not because you're trying to sound impressive, but because they come from a place of clarity and conviction. That's what separates the average man from the Stoic man. And that's why, in a world filled with noise and distraction, women and the world are drawn to a man who moves with peace, purpose, and quiet power. Now let's talk about what women are actually attracted to. It's not about being the loudest guy in the room. It's not about showing off material things. And it's not about chasing someone until they finally give in. What truly draws women in is something deeper. It's something that can't be bought, faked, or rushed. It's emotional discipline. Women love a man who is calm under pressure, a man who can sit in silence without needing to fill the space, a man who listens, really listens, without interrupting, without thinking about what to say next, and without letting his ego run the conversation. He responds. He doesn't react. He takes a moment to think before speaking. He pauses before acting. That's not weakness, that's control. And that control, that composure, it creates an undeniable sense of safety, because when a man is emotionally steady, he becomes someone others can trust. He doesn't overshare just to seek sympathy or seem interesting. He understands that mystery, restraint, and emotional clarity are more powerful than overexposure. He shares when it's meaningful, not when he's trying to impress or be validated. He doesn't argue to win. He doesn't fight to be right. He speaks his truth with quiet confidence, and then he lets it stand on its own. If someone doesn't respect it, he doesn't push harder. He just steps back. And if respect is lost in a relationship, he walks away, not out of anger, but out of self-respect. That's powerful, because this kind of behavior sends a very clear message. I don't need you. I choose you, but I'll never chase you. And those words, whether said aloud or silently communicated through your actions, change everything. You see, neediness kills attraction. When you're emotionally dependent on someone's attention, approval, or affection, it creates pressure. That pressure makes people pull away, especially in relationships. On the other hand, when you show up full, stable, and at peace with who you are, you become magnetic. Because in today's world, that's rare. Women are not looking for perfection. They're not expecting you to have all the answers or never feel emotion. But they are drawn to men who know how to hold their emotions rather than be controlled by them. When you're triggered and you don't lash out, when you're disrespected and you don't beg for closure, when things fall apart and you don't fall with them, that's when your strength shows. A Stoic man doesn't chase validation because he already has internal approval. He wakes up with purpose. He leads himself before he leads anyone else. He's calm because he trusts himself. He's silent when needed, assertive when required, and always true to his values. And women feel that. They feel when you're grounded. They feel when you're not emotionally volatile. And they feel when your energy is stable enough to hold space for them, not just when things are easy, but when life gets messy. That's the difference between a man who's trying to be liked and a man who's already accepted himself. So, if you want to know what women are really drawn to, it's not about the games, the gestures, or the gimmicks. It's about you, how you carry yourself, how you think, how you respond when life throws a curveball. It's about becoming a man who doesn't need to prove anything, because who he is already speaks for itself. Let's break something down that most men overlook: the silent power of Stoicism. In a world that rewards loudness and constant expression, stillness has become a superpower. You're taught to speak quickly, post constantly, and always do something. But what if your greatest strength isn't in doing more? It's in mastering less. Stoicism isn't about suppressing emotion. It's about understanding it, then choosing your response with intention. A Stoic man isn't cold. He's clear. He isn't detached. He's discerning. He knows that life is unpredictable. Emotions rise. People disappoint. Plans fall apart. But instead of reacting to every wave, he anchors himself. And that unshakable calm, that's what people trust. That's what women feel safe around. Because a man who isn't thrown off by chaos becomes a shelter in the storm. Think about it. How many people do you know who can sit with discomfort without needing to numb it? Who can be present in conflict without making it worse? Who can choose stillness when everyone else is spiraling? Very few. And that's why the Stoic stands out. He doesn't ghost people when things get hard. He communicates directly, clearly, and respectfully. He doesn't punish others with silence. He uses silence to reflect, not react. And when he speaks, it matters. Because he's not talking to fill space. He's speaking from a place of calm power. This presence is subtle, but unforgettable. In conversations, he's fully there. In conflict, he doesn't escalate. He listens. In decisions, he's grounded, not rushed. People might not be able to explain it at first, but they feel it. This man moves differently. And here's the truth. Stoicism is attractive not because it's flashy, but because it's rare. Most people live in reaction. They're pulled by the highs and crushed by the lows. They post impulsively, speak emotionally, and let temporary feelings ruin long-term peace, but not the Stoic. The Stoic knows the difference between what he can control and what he can't. He doesn't try to force outcomes or convince people to stay. He lets actions speak louder than arguments. He lets distance clarify what words can't. And that quiet discipline makes him deeply powerful. Women don't want a man who's constantly performing, constantly proving, constantly chasing. That's exhausting for everyone. They want a man who can hold space, who can be strong without being forceful, who can lead with empathy and clarity, who can remain composed under pressure, not because he's pretending to be tough, but because he's practiced emotional discipline over time. He's trained his mind, he's built his character, he's chosen clarity over chaos. That's not weakness, that's wisdom. So when things don't go his way, the Stoic doesn't collapse. He adapts, he doesn't beg, he doesn't panic. He simply recalibrates and continues forward. That's what real masculinity looks like. It's not about domination, it's about direction. Because when you're no longer at war with yourself, you no longer bring chaos into your relationships. You become a man of peace, of presence, of purpose. And in a world full of noise, that kind of man is unforgettable. Let's talk about the flex that doesn't show up on Instagram. The one you can't buy, wear, or fake: inner stillness. In today's world, the loudest man often gets the most attention, but the calmest man earns the most respect, and respect lasts longer than attention. Real strength isn't in how much noise you make, it's in how little you're moved by noise around you. You walk into a room and you don't need to dominate it. You let your energy speak for itself. Your confidence is quiet, not because you lack power, but because you've outgrown the need to prove it. That's the real flex. It's walking away from drama without needing to explain yourself. It's staying cool when someone tests your patience. It's letting someone else have the last word because you know the truth doesn't need defending. That kind of man, he's rare, and rare is attractive. This is what Stoicism trains you for. Not to become emotionless, but to become unshakable. You don't panic when she pulls back. You don't collapse when life gets uncertain. You don't chase after what's slipping away. You let it go, trusting that what's meant for you will remain. That's not weakness. That's wisdom earned through discipline. You become a man who doesn't need external things to feel secure because you've built security inside yourself. No amount of followers, no car, no cologne, no quote-unquote alpha routine can compete with that. Inner stillness is the most underrated power you can develop, and it's not built in a day. It's built in the quiet choices, waking up and choosing discipline over distraction, choosing patience when your ego wants to explode, choosing space instead of control, choosing to pause instead of post. And here's the thing, women feel this on a soul level, because stillness is safety. Stillness is leadership. Stillness is rare. It's not about impressing her. It's about inspiring her, not by what you say, but by how you are. You become the kind of man whose presence brings peace, not pressure. The kind of man who's calm, under fire, focused when others panic, and consistent in a world full of chaos. And that consistency, that's what creates trust. That's what creates loyalty. That's what creates real attraction. Because in the end, being still is not standing still. It's movement without noise. It's clarity without explanation. It's knowing yourself so well that you don't have to convince anyone else. And here's the most important part. When you master your inner stillness, you stop chasing relationships that drain you. You stop performing for people who don't value you. You stop reacting to every situation like it's an emergency. Instead, you move with purpose, you speak with direction, and you love with presence, not pressure. That is the Stoic advantage. That's the real flex. So if you're wondering what to work on, don't start with how you look. Start with how you respond. Train your mind, quiet your ego, build that stillness within. Because when you do, the world doesn't shake you, you shape the world. So now you're probably thinking, this all sounds powerful. But how do I start? The truth is, becoming a Stoic man isn't about flipping a switch. It's about making small decisions every single day that shape your character. And that shift, it begins in the mind. Start by creating space between trigger and response. Someone says something disrespectful. Pause. Breathe. Ask yourself, does this deserve my energy or does this deserve my silence? 9 times out of 10, silence wins. Then build emotional awareness, not to share everything, but to understand everything. Your strength as a Stoic man comes from being deeply in tune with your feelings without being ruled by them. Don't repress, reflect, don't react, respond. Next, protect your focus like it's sacred, because it is. The world is full of distractions designed to pull you away from purpose. Every scroll, every notification, every headline is trying to steal your presence. Reclaim it. Start your day with intention. Read a passage, journal, train, sit in stillness, do something that reminds you, I choose how I show up today. And here's a big one, detach from outcomes. You can't control how she feels, you can't control what life throws at you, but you can control your effort, your discipline, your mindset. When something doesn't go your way, ask, what can I learn here? Not why is this happening to me? That's the shift. It's moving from victim to student, from reactor to responder, from boy to man. And you're not doing it for likes, followers, or applause. You're doing it for clarity. You're doing it for freedom, because the Stoic man is free. Free from needing validation, free from people pleasing, free from emotional chaos. He doesn't chase, he attracts. He doesn't impress, he inspires. He doesn't prove, he becomes. And don't get it twisted. This isn't about becoming perfect. It's about becoming intentional. One decision at a time. You're late to a meeting, stay calm. Apologize with grace. You're tempted to argue online, step back. Don't give your peace away for free. Someone pulls back emotionally, let them. Don't beg, don't chase. Remain centered. That kind of presence speaks louder than 1,000 words. And yes, this takes time, discipline, repetition. But the man who can stay grounded in a chaotic world wins, because while everyone else is chasing attention, the Stoic is building value. While others seek validation, the Stoic builds purpose. While others crumble under pressure, the Stoic becomes the pressure. So start today. Start small. Wake up 30 minutes earlier to sit in silence. Write down 3 things you're grateful for. Ask yourself, what would a Stoic do right now? Then do that. It won't always be easy, but it will always be worth it. Because when you make the shift from noise to stillness, from reaction to reflection, you become the kind of man who doesn't just survive the chaos, you master it. And that's the beginning of your Stoic evolution. Let's be honest, most men will never get this. They'll scroll past videos like this. They'll call it soft or too deep or not alpha enough, because facing yourself, that takes more courage than flexing for a crowd. Most men are too distracted, too reactive, too conditioned to chase things that don't matter and ignore the things that do. They measure success by likes, manhood by muscle, and love by how fast they can get it, not how deeply they can hold it. They're loud when they win, loud when they lose. Loud because silence feels like weakness. But here's the twist. Silence isn't weakness. It's power under control. Stillness isn't passivity. It's focused energy. Most men won't get this because society never taught them how to sit with themselves, only how to escape through noise, through women, through validation. But you're still here, still listening, still locked in. And that means something. It means you're not like most men. You're not just consuming content, you're changing through it. You're starting to realize it's not about having the most, it's about needing the least. It's not about being worshipped, it's about being respected. It's not about chasing love, it's about embodying it. You're not afraid to be calm. You're not afraid to be misunderstood. You're not afraid to walk alone, because you know the path to mastery is quiet, often lonely, but deeply rewarding. And that's why you'll win. Because while others chase trends, you build truth. While others fold under pressure, you rise from it. While others keep reaching outward, you keep going inward. That's rare, and women, they see it, they feel it. They're drawn to it, because the man who knows himself deeply is magnetic without effort. He doesn't chase connection, he creates it through presence, patience, and purpose. That's you. Or at least, that's who you're becoming. And here's the beautiful part. You don't need to be perfect to start. You just need to be intentional. Most men are stuck in cycles of validation, ego, fear, and control, but not you. You've already stepped out of that loop by watching this far. You've already started the shift. You're choosing growth over comfort, discipline over drama, presence over performance. And that's why this message isn't for the masses, it's for the few. The few who are tired of surface-level advice. The few who are ready to master their mind. The few who realize being a man isn't about chasing power, it's about owning your presence. So if you've made it this far, take this as a sign. You're not just built different, you're building yourself different. And that's what separates the boys from the men. The reactive from the grounded. The common from the stoic. So here we are, at the end. Or maybe the beginning. You've just walked through what most men avoid for a lifetime. Not because they can't, but because they won't. Because it's easier to point fingers than to take ownership. It's easier to chase than to pause. It's easier to act tough than to build true inner strength. but you're not here for easy. You're here for real, and now it's time to move from understanding to action. This is your final Stoic challenge. It's not a 30-day program, it's not a checklist. It's not something you post on social media. It's internal, quiet, personal, and it starts with this question: who are you when no one's watching? Not who you present to the world, not who you are when you're praised, but who you are in silence, in stress, in solitude. Can you stay centered when emotions flare? Can you lead yourself before you lead anyone else? Can you be patient when the world demands urgency? Because that is where Stoicism lives. Not in quotes, not in books, but in the space between impulse and intention. So here's what I want you to do this week. Choose the harder path, not because you want to suffer, but because growth doesn't come from comfort. Let her take hours to text back. Stay calm. Let the job delay the offer. Stay focused. Let life test you. Stay grounded. Your emotions will rise, let them. But don't let them lead. Observe, breathe, respond, then keep showing up. Every time you do, you're rewiring who you are. You're stepping into your power, not loud, not desperate, but quiet, calm, unshakable. And that kind of man, he doesn't just win in relationships. He wins in everything because people trust him, women respect him, and life favors him, not because it's fair, but because he's ready for it. So here's your Stoic challenge. Detach from validation, attach to purpose. Detach from noise, attach to stillness. Detach from ego, attach to truth. Start small. 1 moment of restraint, 1 act of grace, 1 pause before a reaction, and watch your entire life begin to shift. Because this isn't about being emotionless, it's about being emotionally masterful. That's what 99% of men will never understand. But you do now, and if this video sparked something in you, if you felt it in your gut, then share it with someone who needs to hear it. Not for clicks, not for likes, but because real growth, it's contagious. And remember, you don't chase the world. You become the kind of man the world chases. You are Stoic, and this is just the beginning. If this message resonated with you, don't let it end here. Subscribe to the channel, because this is just the beginning of a journey into deeper strength, emotional mastery, and calm leadership. Every week, we drop videos designed to challenge, sharpen, and elevate you. Like this video if it spoke to something in you, something real, something rare. That simple click helps us reach more men who are ready to level up and live with intention. Comment below and let us know what part hit you hardest. We read every comment because this isn't just content, it's a community. And if you know someone, your brother, your friend, your younger self, who needs to hear this, share it with them. Quiet strength is contagious, and this world needs more of it. Because at Stoic HQ, we don't chase hype. We build men. 1 principle, 1 practice, 1 powerful video at a time. You made it this far for a reason. Now take what you've learned and live it. Stay grounded, stay focused, and above all, stay stoic. We'll see you in the next one.